There we go. Hey guys, how's it going? Gonna be continuing with the groom on the worm probably today. Might even start doing some of the clothing grooms. I genuinely have no idea, to be honest. I know for a fact I won't be doing a character groom yet though. But yeah, so in terms of where we're up to, we obviously spent the last stream kind of blocking out a body, learning my way around Yeti and figuring out what we actually want for the look of this guy. In terms of the actual render, this is the render I left cooking last time we finished the stream, so I left this going, for like 45 minutes or so after the stream. It's not perfectly clean, but this is Arnold. It's not going to be perfectly clean. But yeah, so this is where we're up to. It looks a bit too kind of chaotic for me. Like it's not a good looking groom, at least in my opinion. It has character to it, sure, but like technically it's not that great looking. So I'm gonna kind of continue to figure out like, oh well, what is it needs? Obviously, it's a ton. We haven't even started on noise yet. But there's a lot more to it than just noise. We need to get the guides kind of flowing nicely, probably add more guides in areas like this one because it's completely, the fur doesn't know which way to go, so I imagine that's a guide issue. I don't know how Yeti works, to be honest, yet, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so in terms of references, let's have another quick look. These are our main ref fur. So we've got this kind of mask thing, which I might give this a go today, like trying to get this, kind of how the mask is bedded in, and yeah, probably address some of the noise on the groom because these feel a lot more rough than what I've got. It could also be the shader. Obviously the shader's default, so default apart from Melner, so that's not going to look great. But yeah, I think noise is the primary issue because with no noise, hair will always look incredibly greasy. I still haven't figured out as well what width I want to go for. Like, I don't know if I want to go for something that's realistic or if I want to go for really chunky fibers. They've both got pros and cons, so we'll kind of explore that. I mean, it's not the easiest, not the hardest thing. Sorry to test. It's just change the render width. But yeah, and then as I said, we may get into doing some fibers for the scarf and all that stuff, see if that kind of helps out, make the scene feel a bit more soft. And yeah, that's kind of where it all ends. So I'm just gonna get on with it. We may also do a pass on feathers in terms of like getting some feathers hidden in the fur. Might look quite cool. Feathers like this one, very sparse, very simple. But yeah, so maybe I'll do that now actually, because that will change how the fur feels quite a lot. Yeah, fuck it, I'm doing that now. I also need to clean my scene. So let's clean the scene, group the grooms, and then I'm going to start getting sounds of London in the background. Then I'll start getting some feathers in place and just kind of feeling it out, like figuring out what we actually want to achieve. Because frankly, I do not know. We're just going to kind of slowly figure it out as we go. Sometimes the best stuff comes from not having any idea what you're doing. That's where most of my good projects come from. That's why all the speedy projects I do normally get way more kind of, attention is the wrong word, but like my speedier projects tend to get the best reaction. It's because I don't really plan them. Yeah, so let's start off by making a single feather, right? So, well, let's clean the scene first, actually. So do I want any, what's this for? I think we can get rid of these guys now. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. That's the body. I'm going to want to move that. No idea if moving it will break it, but we'll find out. That's the old body. We can get rid of that. The mask, I think we decided against keeping, so I'll delete that as well. Which does mean there was an entire stream dedicated to doing that, which didn't stay, but it inherited some transforms when I moved it just then. Bad. Modify free transformations. I am genuinely surprised if that doesn't break the groom. Although Yeti, from the limited experience I've got with it, it does seem surprisingly bulletproof. Like once you've got it installed, which is a game into itself, I guess. Once you got it installed, it seems to be pretty fucking nice. I've been doing a lot of I've been doing quite a lot of model transfers and stuff, like in the background, like during work and that sort of thing. And I'm finding it very easy to use. I am wholeheartedly expecting this to break now that I've renamed the mesh and moved it. Light group, cam group, yep, that's all good. Get rid of that. I can drop the sim meshes into, I'm just going to create a group and call it geo group. Geo group. And then we'll leave the grooms group for now. So 330 is our standard frame for everything. So let's create a feather. I'm going to hide the geo group while I'm at it. Or maybe at least hide the all those. Keep the monster. Keep the box as well, actually. Looks weird without it. And then let's hide the light group too. Cool. So Yeti, create a feather. And we're going to call this one feather body A template. So this feather, if you're unfamiliar with Yeti, which I assume like most of the people who watch this, i.e. all one of the people currently watching it, yeah, for people in future, if you're not sure how the Yeti feather system works, it's pretty nice. Basically, you create a feather template, which is a single feather. You get this to look exactly how you want, and then you instance that into your groom, so it can kind of randomize some of the features within the feather, kind of where the splits are and all that sort of stuff. There's quite a lot of different ways to do this, but I'm just going to go into orthographic, go to the front view, and turn on my grid. So one of the reasons I'm going to turn on my grid, there we go, is because when you instance this, it will inherit the length of your guide curves, of what your actual fibers are doing. And because of that, the length of this feather is a multiplier. So this feather can be a length of 1, and the fibers can be a length of like 50, and it's no problem. It'll instance a longer. It's just if we were to go above or below 1, that means it won't reach the end of the fiber, or it'll go way past it. So having this orthographic front view and the grid visible will help us kind of figure that stuff out. You can actually change the shape of the mesh as well, which I find is quite a nice feature. And I guess while I do this, I'm going to have the feather that I'm referencing on screen. So let's just do, and why do I even have Redshift right now? Yeah, I need to get rid of a lot of these tabs. But yeah, so let's just go put this guy in the corner, zoom right in. So this is going to be our feather reference, and he can go there. So I'm going to start off by doing something which is probably immediately going to get people kind of judging the way that I like to work. I'm going to delete all this length stuff, and I'm going to control this with the actual mesh. So the shape of the mesh is also part of the instancing process. I don't really know under the hood how it works, but if we just select that mesh and hit F8, that now goes into component mode, and we can kind of grab the sides of this feather, move those up, and that will get our feather angle for us, because there isn't actually an angle in here. There's a barbed linearity, but that doesn't bend the fur in one direction, it bends it in two directions. It kind of does like an S shape, and you can't reverse that S shape, which is really annoying to me. So you actually have very little control over the exact shape of individual barbs. So I prefer to use the actual mesh itself, and then to kind of make it come to a point like most feathers do. I mean, in this case it doesn't look like it actually does, but we'll do this anyway. We can just pull that in, scale it in, so something like that. And then let's do all this. And it looks like really we don't need to do much of that, but stuff like this. And then it looks like it tapers towards the base, so it like kind of gets wider as it goes up. So we can just kind of select just down here, soft select up to there, make sure we have a linear soft selection. Close you, and so yeah, get that up to the top, scale that in. Something like that will do. And obviously we're going past the 1, but that's fine, to be honest. Barb density, I haven't got any idea what the difference between barb spacing and barb density is, because they seem to do the same job. Like, it's just opposites. So if I reduce barb spacing but increase barb density, it does the same thing, seemingly. It just does it in reverse. So if anyone watching this at any point in future knows why this is doing what it's doing, let me know. Because it seems like a very strange way to work to me. I don't know why they're separate to begin with. So obviously then, if we want the spacing to be a bit more, rather than using this, because again, this makes no sense, we can do the width. So we can just set these to be very fine. So let's do something like that. And then I guess I want the spine width to be, or Ratchi to be more narrow as well. So it's hard to see from this reference exactly what this is doing, but it looks like it gets thicker towards the tip, which is very unusual. And these guys seem like they're pretty uniform. So I'm gonna bring this down so that it goes to a pretty fine point. Do that. And I'm gonna increase the density slightly. Cool. So we can add more or less subdivisions as well, which is quite nice. So I know you can convert these barbs into hairs and kind of curl them that way, but if Peregrine Labs ever see this, which I don't think they will because my streams don't get that many viewers, it'd be really nice to have control of the actual bend in the feather system. Like, the fact it doesn't have that is very strange. As I said, like, it only has this, which is not really what I'm looking for in the slightest. Although adding that will help, so I'm going to do this. And yeah, so it looks like these need to be a lot longer. Oh, let's turn off that. In fact, let's just grab all of the side ones and move them up a bit more. Something like that. And then again, something like that will do. Looks like maybe it's even wider at the top. Something like that looks moderately okay. And we can give it a go. So let's just shorten this guy. So I'm going to grab these top ones, soft select all the way down to the bottom. Well, I guess I could just scale the feather, right? I'm not sure how that works. I think I'll just go with this shape. Oh, that's not doing what I expected at all. Okay, so we're not going to do that. Let's try scaling the feather and see if that works. If that works. I wonder if that has an actual issue. Can I freeze transformations? Okay, so I can't do that. So I'm going to assume it operates purely on world space. I'm going to find out if that's broken everything. Although I guess as long as the spine is 0 to 1, like this will overshoot the curve, but I guess that's okay because the spine is going to orient everything. So yeah, let's just give that a go. I'm going to open this up a little bit because I'm realizing this tip is closing too much. Something like that. Feels a bit nicer. And yeah, this barb density, the way it works, I'm not really too keen on. I think something like that is pretty close. Length variation is a scale rather than actually a cut, so that looks like it's supposed to be pretty low. I think the root of these guys is a bit too thick, so let's just grab this guy. Needs to go a little bit thicker than that. Did I not hit enter when I got to 5? Yeah, I might not have hit enter. What else is the azimuth variation? I don't really care for that. Then we've got tearing, but obviously we're not really going to see that with the size, like with the amount of barbs we've got. We're not really going to see that, but I may as well add some in. Let's just break it apart at random. Something like that. You can kind of treat this as a noise, I guess, in some very roundabout way of thinking about it. But yeah, so I think maybe let's lower these guys a little bit so it's straight at the bottom. And then grab these guys too. There we go. So that's that guy. I'm going to move this off screen and let's go into perspective. And I can probably hide this, right? So now I'm just going to select the base mesh, which is in monster body. Select this guy, create a new Yeti node on mesh, and this one can be monster feather body. I need to change my naming though, to keep it consistent. Monster feather body, and that's fine for that. I need to remove capital F from these guys. So I will have to, yeah, so that will break, that's fine, I expect that to break. And then let's put monster. I have no idea what the this constant caching is about. Can I just, there you go. So let's quickly fix our Yeti graph editor. So that will be, that's importing the right guy, that's fine. This will be trying to import something that doesn't exist anymore because the name has changed. That's that fixed. I don't think there's anything else we need to fix. So now we've got our monster feather body. I'm going to import scatter grow and comb. Cool. And that will be import geo. Cool. Create another import. This one eventually will be feather import groom. And we'll need a import feather as well. Set this to feather. Set you to groom. And we'll want to create a instance node, which is you. Plug you in there. This won't do anything yet. Plug you in there and there. There's no groom, I know, that's fine. And then with our shape, we just add the feather into objects. And then in grooms, I'm just going to use the body groom we're already doing so that it follows the actual hair. And so this now will produce these beautiful looking feathers. So interestingly enough, the default settings for the feather instancing actually don't work. So we have to go into Yeti and do a few things. We need to set objects to deform, which will do one thing, but then we'll notice as well that the feathers aren't reaching the full length of the hair. Like they're not really doing anything, to be honest. So what we need to do is go into instance and multiply scale by length. There we go. So we may want to make the feathers a bit more thin. We'll decide on that in a moment. I'm going to change the feather display to full. Yeah, so we definitely want to make these a bit thinner. We can do it in two ways. We can make the actual template thinner, or we can go into the scale here and just set X to be 0.5. Or we can lower that even more if we want to. So let's set that back to proxy. And then the angle of these guys isn't exactly matching the mesh. Like there's some angles like here where it seems to sit at a bit of a different position. So I'm just going to change up vector to be normal, which is $N. And since they're now facing the wrong way, because their normals are inverted, I'm just going to invert the normals. There we go. Now we've got feathers that orient to the mesh really badly spaced. Obviously I need to change the kind of I need to change how these are scattered and all that jazz, but ultimately this will kind of get everything in place. So everything is there at this point, it's just a case of adding variation to stuff. So I'm going to set this back to full. I'm also going to hide the groom while I do this. So I want to make these thinner, because if we compare them to this, they are quite wide. So let's just go in, that's the wrong groom. Go back into that instance. I'm going to set the X scale to 0.25. So as far as I can gather, the way this works is this is applied to your instance before it is placed on the curves. So if your instance is facing like Z forward, so that the width of the feather is an X, it scales it kind of at that origin point and then puts it on your curves. So this is done before all this stuff, which is why changing it on the X changes the width. If I were to increase the length of it, I could just put 2 here, and that doubles the length of it. Granted, because it's now above a length of 1, it doesn't really follow the curves correctly. It gets a bit confused. I think it just extends the tips. It's hard to tell. I think it, yeah, that's what it's just doing. But I'm going to set that back to 1 because I don't want that to change. And then Z doesn't really do anything because we don't have backwards and forwards variation in this feather. So I can leave that well alone. We could put a hash function here if we want to, but I'm not going to. A hash function is the equivalent of a rand as far as I can gather. Again, I'm pretty new to Yeti, figuring it out as I go, doing a lot of testing. But yeah, so we got all these in place. Let's figure out that scatter. So I'm just going to add some relaxed steps to space these a bit more evenly. I don't want it to be perfectly even, but I do want it to be a bit more even. Yeah, and we'll need more curves, or more guides even. Of course, if we wanted to, we could place these by hand. If we wanted to put these on individual curves, that's also perfectly possible. And then I guess to get a little bit more variation, I'm going to, let's just move this over here. I'm going to add a scraggle. So I'm going to add a scraggle before the instance, because again, it's just instancing a curve along the length of a hair, right? So we can treat this as normal. We can add a scraggle. I can set this to be crazy, turn off maintain length, and it will completely break, but that's to kind of be expected, right? So just change the frequency of that, turn off root scraggle so that it doesn't break the roots, add some randomness, or pretty much full randomness, and then I can check how that goes before and after. Let's increase that frequency a little bit. And I need to learn how to do rands like properly, because as far as I'm aware, I don't know a way to randomize between 2 specific values. I'm sure there is an expression for that, but it's not the word rand, which is what I'm used to, so I do need to learn how to use that. But that looks like it will now work, I guess. So we can now get fur body visible again. We may want these to be shorter. We also probably want it to be a little bit less scraggly. So let's set that to like 1.2. And then let's just assign the hair shader we're using for everything. So what is the hair shader we're using? I think it's AI standard hair, right? We haven't named it yet. So let's get that light group visible again. Close you. Save an alt version of my scene. And go into the render view. Perspective. Close you. Zoom in a little bit, there we go. This will now take longer to generate just because it's got all this. Oh, yeah. So, because it's still a regular groom, I still need to change the render density. I'm surprised how quickly that generated, that's kind of impressive. But I need to go into feather body and go to render and set render density to 1. I don't like the fact it defaults to 10. That's already caused me to like lose progress several times where it's crashed the scene. So this kind of annoys me, but let's give that a go. There we go. It is impressively quick. Like, I know my computer is pretty powerful, but it's still like, that is pretty good. So that kind of looks interesting, actually. The barb width needs to go down. Let's reduce that barb width a little bit. So we can just select, without actually previewing it, we can just go into here. That is monster feather A. Yeah, feather body A. It's going to barb width, and I'm just going to grab you and go down to 0.1. Maybe it has to be visible. Yeah, it has to be visible. But I just find like adding feathers in the fur at random kind of gives an interesting texture. These are definitely a lot longer. I mean, I guess it's because I've got maintain length turned off, right? So let's go back into our groom. It's this guy. I'm gonna preview at this one just to save a bit of time. So what's going on there then? Oh, because these are actually reaching a full length, whereas the hair itself is cut. So I need to add some cuts to this, don't I? Well, you can't add a cut in here. So we have to go into the grow node, reduce the minimum. What's it set to in this guy? And let's go to the clump. 0.76. So let's add something similar. Grow 0.78. Yeah, close enough. That will probably fix it, to be honest. So we've got the same amount of length variation now. I don't know if the length variation changes the width of the feather. That'd be interesting to find out. Granted, you could always inverse that with the actual width, like the scale. Let's give them, that's not what I want. Why is the UV editor docked? There we go, that looks a lot more kind of better seated now. So yeah, I'm not too keen on this on how this area is looking. Also, adding the cut seems to have hidden a lot of the feathers. So I might remove that cut, because it did look a lot more interesting to me with it. Or without it even. Well, let's just minimize it a little bit. So let's set that to about there. It's weird how it gives it quite a matted feeling. So, yeah, it looks very messy. Right, so what I'm going to do then is hide feather body. And we can start working on the groom now, because the groom is kind of the area that needs the most work. And let's just see. So I guess we're at a slightly different camera angle, so it looks weirder. Something looks like it's changed though. Is it just me? Maybe this is the transforms thing. That definitely looks more rough than what it had, like more dense and all that jazz. Yeah, it's more dense. Alright, cool. So I guess because with frozen transformations it's confused it. It's good to know though that it actually checks your transformations. So I guess we're just going to need to reduce all these, right? So let's close you. And let's, I guess, just rebuild it step by step. Well, it looks like it's still working, so maybe... Is it camera angle? Is it just a really unfortunate camera angle that it was going through? If so, I mean, that means the groom is a problem, but... Hey Ian, how you doing, man? So maybe it hasn't changed. Maybe it's just this camera angle is the least worst. I mean, I guess that's kind of good because it's only being rendered from one angle, but it does mean that the groom itself is way too messy. So we're going to need to take a step back. And when I say take a step back, I mean remove everything. Which luckily, with this being node-based, I can just turn stuff off. So let's turn off... let's turn off clumping, turn off that scraggle, turn off you, and go to there, turn you off as well. And then the width node is there, that's fine. Alright, so let's just check how that looks. Let's find out if our guides are the issue or... Obviously the guides are part of the issue, but... Is the hair too dense? If so, it's a render density issue, not a viewport. Let's set this a bit lower. Let's go to like half the density it's currently set to. That feels a bit better. So let's now add the first clumping in there. Okay, so it looks alright at this point. Is it you that breaks everything? No, it's pretty calm. Alright, so let's turn on you. Yeah, so this one's just doing a bit too much, isn't it? So let's hide you. And let's preview this guy. Oh, render cam, yeah. So do we need to relax that a bit? That might help. The thing is, like, I'm used to clumping in XGen, and XGen's clumping is actually like a bit too uniform, but if I'm trying to go for a similar workflow to what I use in XGen, then making it more uniform will help. So we grow it, we comb it, and we clump that to it. So there's already something going on here. That was causing a bit of an issue, wasn't it? Is that even doing anything? It does something, but I don't think it does the right something. So let's turn that off. Shouldn't these both be set to 0 though? Let's just set them both to 1, because that seems a lot neater, But now is it even attracting? Oh, flyaway was set to 20. How does that even work on a technical level? Right, so now let's... This is why it's good to rebuild stuff. So if you don't rebuild stuff, you won't realize why it's breaking. So what happens if we set this to a negative number? Let's go negative 0.5. So that just widens the tip even more. So let's go set that back to 1, change the attraction bias. So we can do it more with a bias. Just set that. Hash ID. So hash ID will generate a random number. Well, hash itself will generate a random number between 0 and 1. So the ID is the seed for that random number. So the ID of the hair is what's being used. And by dividing it by 2, what I'm doing is taking it from 0 to 1 to 0 to 0.5. Because I think 0.5 is already getting a bit far. We could divide that by 4 to take it to a quarter. We could just divide it by 1 and do nothing. What happens if we divide this by 0? Okay, yeah, it breaks. Divide it by 2. Of course, we could do... give me a second. 0.5 minus. So that will now do... Some hairs get negative 0.5 and some hairs get positive 0.5. And I could divide that by 2. So that just gives us a bit of randomness. I don't like the fact that it's not an expression editor. You can copy and paste into these, so you could do it in a text editor, but I think that gives me something that I want. So then, so increasing the max distance allows it to relax a bit, which is fundamentally what? The same as doing, the same as adding strays, I guess. I do need to learn how these two work together. The default is 0.1. I'm going to trust the default. And then we can add 20% of strays back in, which is what we originally wanted. Something like that. So we're starting to get some control back over our groom now. So then we scraggle some of them, I think. Yeah, so 45% of them are affected. I think that's a bit high, isn't it? Let's say it's 100% for a second. Figure out our scraggle. So that's too high frequency. Let's go to 1. And set this down. I wonder if you can set the scraggle to be in different axes. Cool. And then we go to U. This is where the hair gets involved. So that was a little bit more promising. And what's this set to? So this is 4%. That's fine. So that breaks it right now. So let's set that back to 0. We will probably need a lot more CVs on this. So let's go to our grow node, go to geometry. I'm going to set the count to 24. So this gives us a little bit more control over the hairs. We can do a bit more on the scraggle and all that jazz. So let's get into the scraggle. We add our strays, which I believe this is. Yep, this is strays. Let's increase the percentage. Let's go to like 8%. Reduce the root scraggle. Something. And then, so this one is scraggle strays. Cool. And then let's just put another scraggle in there. I'm trying to learn how to actually place these. So, does it go off visible? I think it does. So let's try that. Okay, so it goes off whichever one's selected. That's fine. It'd be nice if it could like automatically connect stuff. So this will dry out the hair quite a lot. So we're going to set this to be completely random, like 100% random. Maybe not 100%, that's a bit extreme. And that will already start to feel a bit dry. So now if we make our feathers visible again, I want to do some scraggle on the feathers too. So let's convert these. Convert feathers to fibers. And then we can add a scraggle to this. And this will scraggle everything, including the spine, which I can't remember off the top of my head how you fix that. But if we just set this frequency quite high, I'm going to ignore the spine for a while, to be honest. But that will just make it feel like extra matted. Scraggle random, of course. I think whenever I increase scraggle random, I need to increase the actual. Ooh, okay, so that's per feather then, isn't it? That scraggle random is based on the feather ID, not the actual ID. Right, okay. So we need to be careful how we use that. I'm going to need to learn how to script that to do something else. I think this will give us something. I mean, I guess we could add some randomness. That will go. So, attributes. Eight megabytes. Ooh. Why are you moving? That's funky. If you right click on it, then left click somewhere else, it moves it. That's super weird. I think it will keep this width. Let's just add a width node. In fact, no, we don't want to add a width node because we've already got the feather width. So let's just give that a go. Let's go to our render cam. And I'm going to alt save. Let's close you, show you, render. So now we have a bit more control of our groom. I think the hair density change was a bit of a mistake. Because now we can see straight through it. Although maybe if we want something to feel super matted, that might be the way to go. I kind of want to add like a super large clump, but only 1% of hairs are even attracted to it. So it just pulls like random patches together, and then we just need to do a ton of guide work. I don't think there's much really around that we can do. Hair shader needs to change. kind of want to do some twisty clumps as well. I like how the hair's catching that. Let's change the density. I'm not convinced by it, to be honest. Oh, it's the render density we changed, so that was set to 4. Let's increase it to 3. So obviously every time we change anything here, it's going to be it's going to increase the amount of strays, the amount. Well, it won't change the amount of clumps because I've got that set to not be changeable, which you just do by clicking lock density. Maybe we could increase the amount of feathers, make them thinner, add more of them. But I kind of do like how they look, so we could do both. Like add a second groom system for the feathers that is just like the more dense ones that are thinner. Let's do that. So I have no idea how this will look. Let's just go into Yeti. That's our feather body. So this can be our large feathers. So all we're going to do is duplicate everything. No, let's duplicate. Yeah, let's duplicate all of that. Move that up here. And then create a merge node, which I think is this one. Merge. Come on. Cool. So let's view this guy. It should be identical. Obviously it's different seed, I guess, because that moved. Does it randomize when you duplicate? That's kind of cool. What's the seed? No, it's the same seed. Maybe it relaxes differently. Maybe relaxation is inconsistent. Because that would make sense. Right, so let's just go into our scatter. Let's increase the density out. So let's set this like 3 times more dense. Let's go 4 times more dense actually. But then when we get up to this scraggle, we're going to want a lot more length variation on this guy because it can hide in a bit more. And when we get to this instance, we're just going to set this to be like 1.5 rather than 3.5. So these are going to be super fine feathers. Like super fine. They'll read more like clumps, to be honest. And then when we merge those together, I think I'll reduce the max length as well. I have a suspicion this will look awful. Let's try changing that. Let's give that a go. I think the feather spine is going to be a bit too thick on these guys. So I guess after we convert it, let's throw a width onto this one. And then base width to 1, because I hate the fact it doesn't default to that. Tip width to like 0.5, base parameter to about here. And then set you to a very low number. Not 0 though, because that is too low. We're going to need to find a good number for this. There we go. That's nice and subtle. So let's just preview it from here. So that will now have thin and thick feathers. Let's just give that a moment to do its thing. Oh, did I actually change the max length? I think it did, right? Yeah. So I feel like adding these like kiwi feathers just creates such an interesting texture to it. We do need to kind of do a lot of guide work now. I think that looks interesting. We only need to change the shader because it's too glossy right now. Let's do that. Don't crash. So can't find it. There it is. I'm gonna name this monster hair mat. And let's just go into the roughness and increase that. So this will help make the hair feel a lot drier without just doing scraggles. Because the shading has as much to do with how it feels as the actual fur itself. The last thing you want to do is over rely on the fur. You're just asking for trouble if you do that. That already looks way more interesting to my eyes. I think that's one of the feathers we've got at the front there. Yeah, so we need to do a little bit of guide work around the mask to kind of help that sit. We need to increase the volume above to get that to work correctly. Really love the position of that feather. It's like in just the perfect place. It's going to end up hidden because I'm going to be putting a braid thing around this, but still makes me happy. I need to remove the density from back here because feathers are poking out the back of the box. That's starting to look cooler. So, are we on guides now, or do I need to continue to do more clumping stuff? I think I want to do one more layer of clumps in the hair. I think that will add quite a lot. So let's just go to the Yeti graph editor. Go to monster fur body. So it's going to be the biggest one, so let's copy paste this. Create a clump node. And we want this to control an incredibly low percentage. So this will be crazy low, like too low, something that is genuinely an issue. But through being that way, I can set it to a low percentage, like a very high flyaway. Set these to base attraction to 0. Let me just hide monster feather body. So what this is going to do is just pull random hairs together. So it's kind of forcing like crossovers, like this one here, where you just have a clump that pulls over. Let's turn twist off. That's a bad idea. So which way does this have to be for it to be correct? I think that is like the most correct, right? No, that's more correct. It's just such a sparse clump. I'm really not too keen on how it handles clumping, to be honest. Clumping does seem very difficult to control. But yeah, we can do something like that. And then just set this to be a very high percentage. And again, if we just do turn that off, that is too much. What if I set flyway to 100%? It still does something. So the flyway is not actually... The flyways not do what I thought they did. So wait, less than. Yeah, that's what I want. So let's set that to... There we go. One thing that I found pleasantly surprising is the syntax for if-then statements is the exact same as Xgen, like the exact same, which is really, really helpful. So I can do 20% of hairs by doing that, which just so chat can see, because I doubt you can actually read this. I'm gonna put that in here. So just to read through that, it's hash ID, which again generates a random number between 0 and 1 based on the ID of the curve. We're then checking if that is less than. The way I remember I know this is a dumb thing, but the way that I remember which way round that symbol goes is less than is smaller on the side of the number. So less than and greater than would be the size of the arrow on the side of the number you're checking. And then we do question mark to check if it is. If it is, we get the first number, then colon, second number, if it isn't. I know I'd rush through explaining that, but it's the same as Xgen. So if you don't understand it, just check some Xgen tutorials. 30% of hairs. That works better than flyway. Because flyway seems to actually still do something, which I don't want. That's one thing I think is a bit underdocumented, because when I was looking into Yeti, I had no idea it had actually quite a powerful expression system. Like, there are tutorials out there that mention it, but I think it's something that isn't as well known as it should be. Because that's one of the things that I've always looked at Xgen for. It's like, oh, well, Xgen has this amazing expression system where you can do anything. But, like, I'm realizing that Yeti has it too. So, kind of gives me less reasons to stick with it, to be honest. Oh, stick with Xgen, that is. Yeah, so let's get to the... So let's just turn that on and off. It's this guy. So yeah, it's just going to pull some random hairs together. Let's change that clumping. Let's set base attraction pretty high. So because it's such a small number of clumps, this number will have to be higher than I expect it to be. I need to learn how these controls though. So let's give that a go. And then just guide work. Lots of guide work. So I'm going to let that clean up for a little bit. For the uninitiated, what are Yeti's biggest strengths? From what I can tell so far, so I am new to Yeti. I'm by no means any level of authority. I'm just a guy who grooms, and I've just picked up Yeti. I'm learning it kind of for the first time. My first groom in Yeti was 5 years ago, but then I didn't touch it for 5 years. But yeah, so the biggest strengths of Yeti are, because it's node based, it's really flexible. Like, however you want to work, it will let you work. The weakness is that the nodes don't really behave in a way you'd want them to. Like, the clumping, I still haven't got it figured out yet, to be honest, but yeah, I'll figure it out eventually, but currently I have no idea how it works. Visually anyway, I don't know how it works. Next, I think by far the biggest strength is how easy the pipeline is. Like, it's actually fucking piss easy. Like, doing a model transfer takes seconds. Like, if your models are identical in world space, you barely have to do anything. You just export your groom as a groom file, create a groom on the model you want to transfer it to, then load the groom file into that, and as long as it's in the same world space, it will work perfectly. If they're not in the same world space, just make a blend shape to it, and then blend shape it with the groomed visible, then export the groom, and again, works perfectly. It's unbelievably easy. Like this morning, I did probably about 5 groom transfers, because I'm still like testing this software, like learning a lot about it. I did like 5 groom transfers, and XGen, I still don't know how to groom transfer in that thing. Like, I've had really good teachers teach me how to do it, and I still, like, it's so intimidating. The amount of stuff that can go wrong that is hard to recover is ridiculous. But Yeti doesn't give a shit. Yeti is independent of topology and UVs. Like, if you change topology, doesn't care. If you change UVs, doesn't care. It can use textures, or it can use expressions based on world space noise, or it can use painted maps on your guides. I'm not too keen on the idea of painting on guides, because I don't know how that transfers in terms of, like, if you convert it to nerves curves and back. I doubt it keeps the same attributes unless they're stored. I don't know. It's just, as I say, doubt. But yeah, so it does seem like it might become my new favorite. Definitely not for digidoubles. It's a fucking nightmare for guide grooming. I think there's 2 things that Yeti would need to address for me to, like, completely 100% only use it from this point forwards, which is the guide system is shit for digidoubles just because it doesn't interpolate in a way that makes sense. You need a lot more guides in Yeti than you do in pretty much any other program I've used, including proprietary tools. Like, it needs a lot of work to get it to do what you want. And the clumping, because it doesn't really give you enough control. Like, you can build it any way you want, but the actual clump node itself doesn't make a huge amount of sense. Like, it doesn't give you the level of control you'd want. Also, stray clumps give really weird results sometimes. But again, that's probably because I don't know how to use them yet. Because, again, I am 100% new to this software. If I look like I know what I'm doing, it's just because I've watched some really good tutorials by Mario. Other than that, my experience with this is I've done 3 grooms so far. I did the 1 groom 5 years ago. I'm doing a groom for work, and I'm doing this. That's all my experience with Yeti. But as I've said multiple times in the past, though, is like, if you know one groom tool and you get good with it, you can groom in anything. It's just a case of time. Learn the software, and if the software is easy to learn, then so be it. Yeah, this looks alright. We need some frizzier hair. The hair feels a bit too... Like, individual hairs feel a bit too clean. I feel like I need a high frequency strays, like a really high frequency. I like how it reads here, it's quite nice. I need some guide work in this area. But it's getting there. I need to fix the intersections on the face as well. But yeah, I think the pipeline cleanliness is really, really nice. That's like, as a professional, one of the things I value most is how easy it is to use in pipeline. Because whenever I take on a project, I don't want to have horrible surprises when the pipeline breaks. I think the biggest fault actually with Yeti is how underdocumented it is. Like, the documentation really isn't that great. Like, installing this is comically difficult. In that it doesn't do anything for you. And it's not difficult once you know it, but the first time doing it is pointlessly hard. If they So I guess there's 3 things I want them to fix. If they fix the guide interpolation to be in world space, as in it doesn't, if they give you the option to not worry about the mesh normals during interpolation, like purely do it in world space, like the way that Xgen does, or similar to how Xgen does, that'll be one thing. Second thing is clumping, make that kind of work a bit more as expected. And third thing is create a fucking installer that can set up your render engines for you. But yeah. May want to do some really twisted clumps in here. And I guess, again, that's one of the strengths. So as you saw earlier with the feather thing, if I want to create like random thin feathers, I could do it by creating a randomness in the width, or I can create a separate groom within the same groom and merge them together. So you can separate stuff out in a really nice way. I mean, if I wanted to, I could put the feathers in with the actual fur groom and keep it as one fur node. Like, I could do that if I wanted to. I wouldn't, because I probably want to assign a different shader to the feathers. But even then, if I want to do that, I can just set an attribute on the feathers, custom attribute, and use that in the shader to drive stuff. So even then, you don't necessarily need to. It's just, pipeline's easier. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's add a percentage of strays. So let's go into, that is the wrong thing. Let's go into the Yeti graph, monster body, and I'm just going to create, so this is Scraggle strays, this is regular Scraggle. I'm going to create another Scraggle, and this one will be Scraggle stray, Scraggle frizz strays. Let's remove that. Also, having nameable nodes is a small feature that I quite enjoy. So, root Scraggle down a bit. I might try, because I want to learn how to use the curve, because you can actually generate curves with expressions in this, which is quite nice. I don't know how to do them yet, so I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna make it so that only the absolute root, because the problem with the root Scraggle thing is that it's a linear ramp to the tip of your hair, which I'm not too keen on. So I want to create a custom ramp. So what are the settings? If you right click on a node, it gives you all the attributes of your groom for that point, so I can see kind of what's available to me. So I think it's strand U is the length of the strand, like the U tangent. Don't know why it's not a strand V, but yeah, strand U. What variables are they? F, no idea what that is. Frame and time. Then mapping. We've got the surface normals. We've got the position in the world. We've got the ID of the fur. We've got the length. Surface UVs, which is S and T, or U and V, and then width. So let's use strand U. So what we can do is type curve, and I'm going to fuck this up. Let's give it a go though. Curve. Then the first one you do is what you're using to drive the curve. So this strand U, comma, and then let's just quickly set U. And then the first number is the position on the ramp, so let's set to 0. The second number after a comma is the value, so I'm going to set that to 0. And the third number is the interpolation of it. So I think 3 is a smooth interpolation. So then put a few more spaces. Let's say position 0.2 on the ramp, or 0.2 on the ramp has a value of 1 with 3 interpolation. Hit enter. And did I fuck it up? I did fuck it up. Oh, because I didn't put a comma after that. So what we can now do is that gives us our ramp. Now let's multiply that by the strength that we want. So let's just go with 0.1. So we can now move this along. So let's set this to 1 actually, just to kind of simplify stuff. And then we can move this kind of up and down the curve, although I am going to change that. Let's set this to 0.5 and then set U to 0.3. And I can increase that. And up to 0.3 along the curve, it does nothing. And then it ramps up pretty rapidly. I mean, this is too rapid, but let's set it to like 0.7. and then set you to a more reasonable number. And there we go. I know this doesn't make much visual sense, and again, if it had a expression editor, that would be really nice. But this gives us a bit of control. So just set that to be a low percentage. Considering that we do multiply the amount of hairs by 4. So the amount of strays we see is going to get multiplied. I think that will do though. Show feather body. Go into Arnold render view, close view. I'm going to have a drink. Got very little bit of Coke left, so just have that. So I'm going to undo everything I just did. Because I think I was doing that for the sake of learning it rather than actually needing it. So let's keep things simple. Set it to 0.2. Let's go to 0.4. There we go, it's starting to get somewhere. Turn off maintain length. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Okay, so let's reduce that back down, 0.2. So that adds some random 35%, I think that's a bit high, let's go to 20%. And yeah, back to the graph editor. Right, while this cleans up, I'm just going to run and grab a drink of water. Got some more people tuning in now, that's cool. If anyone has any questions, do let me know, I'm more than happy to answer. There we go. Looks like it's cleaning up relatively nicely. Looks kind of interesting. I think the addition of feathers has done a lot for it. Because this groom is objectively still quite awkward. It's starting to look cool texturally, which means our modifiers are working, or our nodes even are working, but the guides is still missing for me. We do need to do a bit more guide work to get this looking good. Excuse me. Should we add some felt style stuff to this? I'm going to clean up a really small area. Yeah, it feels quite cool and matted. But yeah, for like this type of fur, I think the whole X-Gen versus Yeti thing, like Yeti fucking demolishes X-Gen at this style of fur, because this is really easy. And I know I've been grooming for a couple of years, but like, if you asked me to do the same fur in X-Gen, I'd struggle. Just because of the feathers, like the feathers can do so much, but even without the feathers, like it's still difficult with X-Gen to do this style of fur. But if you was to then ask me to go do a digidouble in Yeti, I'm going to tell you to fuck right off. Although I'm obviously going to use Yeti for the kid, because there's no point mixing groom tools in the same scene. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. The thing that I hear echoed by like people who actually know how to use Yeti properly is constant, like the guides are just not good enough for actual digidouble grooming. But yeah, so we're going to do some guide work. I think I'll throw the braid thing in first. just because that will kind of define the edge for me. Let's check a few more areas. Let's check here. I just want to see how different areas are reacting. Maybe it's getting a bit too messy now. I can't really tell. I mean, it looks considerably better than that. I know that much. Like, a lot better. But it's still not, like, working. Well, it is working, not gonna lie. I do quite like how it's turning out, but it's not quite where I want it to be. Like, this is more of an accidental looking cool rather than intentionally what I was going for kind of looking cool. Which, as I said earlier in the stream, is sometimes the most fun way to do stuff, but... yeah, this area still feels a bit crisscrossy. Let's kill that render. Let's consult the ref. So obviously this would, if we were to actually go for this specifically, we'd need a lot more kind of scraggle and clump work. Maybe a curl will actually help. But we are starting to add too many elements now. Is one of the issues as well. Like, if we're adding too many elements, we're gonna have issues. Because what very quickly happens, and something I warn against all the time, is if you're new to something, which I am to Yeti, it's very tempting to just keep adding stuff, but sometimes you need to remove shit and pick the right thing to add rather than just adding more. Because if you keep adding layers and layers and layers, eventually you lose control, you don't know what anything does anymore. So I'm really hesitant to dive in too much and add more features. So maybe what I'll do for now is I'll move on to guides and doing the braid thing. The braid thing, just as a reminder, is going for this style. I think a braid is a pretty good match. So yeah, we'll do that. No idea how it works. We'll find out. But yeah, so... are we going to model these? I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Let's give it a go either way. So I'm going to move that off screen. So I really don't like what it's doing up here. Luckily this is all off screen, but like, holy shit, this is bad. The strays make no sense. It's just going whoop. And that's because there's no guides in the area to tell it otherwise, but it just looks so bad. I do like the silhouette it gets though. The silhouette it gets at the bottom is quite interesting. It's got the right amount of kind of length variation, I think. I think I know why this area is fucked actually. There's basically no guides there. I don't know how well it comes across in the stream because I'm aware that this screen is very noisy right now. Yeah, what was I doing? Oh yeah, so I'm going to do a braid. So I don't know how to use the braid tools. So this is going to be fun. Can I select? Nope. It's like my least favorite feature of... can I not select you? Oh, there we go. So I guess we want an edge here. So let's select all around to there, around to there. Modify, convert, polygon edges to curve. Cool. Monster, mask, braid, border, CRV. I spelled border wrong, but I have no idea how to spell it. Oh no, I did spell it right. Why does that look so wrong? So. Huh, weird. Anyway, so let's grab let's resample the curve. Let's go into curves, rebuild. Where you at? There you are. Set this to 12. Will that hold the shape? Holds the shape well enough. Because now it's actually controllable. So what we want to do at some point is kind of push and pull this around, but if we now just grab that, put it in the monster group, delete the history on it, I'm just going to go into Yeti, create braid, and then let's find out how this works. Because frankly, I have no idea. How does the Yeti braid thing work? That looks like it didn't do anything. Oh. Well, that did something. Profile. So we want that to be uniform, right? So naturally, this isn't doing what we want right now, but that's fine. Step size. So that's the number of CVs. 0 length variation because we don't care about that. Phase. So that's the amount of braids. Rotation. So we want that to be linear because if I set that to 0, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Width. So that's the hair width. So is diameter. Okay. And a little bit of unevenness. That will help it feel a bit more natural. I have no idea what I'm doing. What if we want them to be uniform, right? So how do I change, like, how flat these braids are? Do they have to be perfectly round? So this gets more. Is there a way to change the flatness? Is the braid the right way to go then? It looks like it is. So that's clearly a braid right there. So let's use that as scale ref for a sec. These just look so chunky. That's the problem I've got. Like, does diameter help? So this is where tools like Braid Maker come helpful. Let's try 2.5. I guess it doesn't help that it's in like intersecting. So let's try moving control vertex. Let's move all that back a little bit. And then grab you. Move that off screen for a moment. So what we'll need to do is resample this curve after, because it does stretch out the break curve, which is actually a really nice feature in terms of making it consistent in animation, but it's a pretty terrible feature for doing what I'm doing right now, which is improper workflow to begin with, so I can forgive it. Yeah, we will want to kind of reparameterize this curve. I just want to get a little bit of kind of something going on right here to make it less uniform. That is really cool though. Like, that is really cool. I am enjoying Yeti, not gonna lie. So we're going to re-parameterize this curve by rebuilding it. This will probably crash, so let me alt save. It's going to curves, rebuild. So that actually didn't do much. Alright, so maybe it's my actual braid settings. Where could that be going wrong? I love how it looks like a baby's headdress because it goes flat at the top. Maybe I need to extend this a bit. As in have these ends pass each other by a lot. Like that. Nope. Is there a twist that I can use? That's a bit better. So this actually needs to come in front of the mask slightly. So diameter needs to go down. And then change that again. A little bit of side to side wobble because it's too straight at the moment. Loosen it off at the bottom because that makes sense in my head. Pull you back. You can stay forward. You can have slid forward. And then we're going to need the front of this guy to tuck back in. Oh, I'm pressing F4 and F5. There we go. So let's just do that. There we go. So then let's go into rotation. Oh, rotation. So this being linear is quite important. That's too sensitive for my tastes. I don't really like that. So I guess we want one of the ends of this, ideally the first CV. So let's, I think this is the first CV, right? So let's put that down to U. And then the next CV along, and get by pressing right on the D-pad, not D-pad, sorry, arrow keys, like that. So I guess we do actually want that to pass through itself. It's going to look a bit weird, but it'll look less weird than it would otherwise. So we're going to use these as guides, fundamentally. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to call this Monster Mask Braid. Oh shit, what do we call this? Hey Creams, how's it going, man? What do we call this? Because these are guides, but they're also not. I'm just gonna call it braid gen, and then create another groom. So Yeti, Yeti node and mesh. So this one will be monster mask braids or braid, and then in the graph for this guy, what do we add here? Guide set, groom, objects. Okay, so it imports it as an object. All right, cool. Just grab that. Then let's go into U. Doop doop doop. Doop. So I've got a feeling the viewport is struggling to update right now. Oh, that'll be why. This is going to braid. Boop, 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 boop. Cool. Then import our braid. Perfect. I'm guessing that detects it. Yeah, that detects it. Plug that into the grow. So we're going to need to convert this, aren't we? Let's convert to braids to fibers. Do we have to do this? Apparently not. All right, cool. So I can delete that. So I can delete those guys? Actually, I guess that's not how I want to do it, right? So I do want it to be procedural to some extent. So we're going to generate these. I'm going to convert this braids to fibers, and let's try to convert that fibers to strands. So there's the grow sorted. And there's the comb, which cool. So how do you change the radius of influence on this guy? Right there. That's how you change it. Right, so this scatter's gonna have to be fucking mental. I'm also gonna need you. So this scatter I don't know how to do this. So I feel like just cranking this is a massive waste. Because I'm having to generate it for the whole fucking thing. And I know it's just generating points, but still that's a lot of calculation because I'm going to be doing an incredibly small area. So how do I do this in a way that's like helpful? Because I don't just want to keep cranking that because that's fucking ridiculous. I could use a face set, but that seems wrong. Don't know what's going on there. Oh yeah, because it's a non-smoothed object. So let's go into that grow. Oh, sorry, into this convert. 0.1. Okay, I'm going about this the wrong way, aren't I? Oh, braid down. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Delete, delete, delete. Delete, delete. Okay, so this can be my hair curves. So we want a width on this. Still hate that. I guess I don't want any, because these are actually quite thick, right? So that's actually all right. So now what we want is to create another convert. This one will be a lower braid density. And can we clump these without it crashing? We can. So it looks like it doesn't understand it though. It sees it as one clump curve. So let's see, 100. Yeah, it sees it as one clump curve. Okay, so that's not an option. Alright, we'll ignore that for now. Let's just add a frizz to this guy. And I'll have to learn how to properly do this at a different point. So Scraggle, the frequency of this guy's gonna have to be fucking nuts. And then let's set Scraggle rand to full. Set you down a little bit. And then percentage I want to be like 50%. So that will pull some random ones out. These are too thick, I think. I feel like overall this is going to feel way too neat as well. If I have the right number of CVs for this to work, let's go back into my braid gen. Step size. So what can this go to? Let's set this like 100. Okay, yeah, so it's starting to do so. Oh wait, maintain line for that needs to go off. Okay, cool. So let's reduce that back down to 10. Increase this back up. Okay, there we go. Set that back to like 4. There we go. So I need this to be thinner. So let's go into width. 0.5. So if I just assign monster hair to this and make this guy visible and make this guy visible, why are you not visible? Oh, because I don't have anything visible. Yeah, okay. There you go. I'm still getting used to that. So this is going to look super fucking weird. Like 100% that's going to look ridiculous. We probably need more. Yeah, I can tell that's going to look ridiculous. So let's play that with that braid. They're just too voluminous. But I need a way to flatten this. I don't know if there is one. We can change the rotation slightly to get a little bit more variation. This is way too sensitive though. Let's see how just that like completely destroys the braid for an area. Yeah, this is too sensitive. It would be nice if that was a little bit easier. Length variation, don't think we want to change that, but let's try it anyway. Cool. Let's just give that a render. It's gonna look stupid. Oh, we need to make sure that the braid gen, sorry, the actual groom is set to render density of 1. Yeah, this is gonna look dumb, but we'll see. There may be an easier way to do it. So, what's the word I'm looking for right now? Give this a go. This is gonna look so bad. I'm actually kind of excited. I'm gonna let that clean up for a second and then just... Yeah, that looks beyond stupid. So what will work for us? It needs to be way rougher, doesn't it? It needs its own shader. Wonder what would happen if we put a surface shader on this. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna just throw a surface shader on this guy. So assign new material. And let's just color pick here. That helps a bit. It still looks ridiculous, but it helps. Welcome back an hour, friend needs a road. Yeah, have fun, man. Bit of anisotropy would look amazing. Yeah, you might be onto something with that. One thing, I'm just curious as to getting this look. I think I need to lower the density. The density is too high. Or maybe it's not. It's so hard to tell. I need a bump map on it. That's for sure. Let's play back with that value a little bit. So, value up. Saturation down. Saturation up. No! Saturation down. So one problem is that hair by nature is already a little bit anisotropic because it's like, it's already layers, really. I think it's too thick as well. As in the diameter's too much. Let's throw some anisotropy on there. In fact, let's throw a lot of anisotropy on there. Let's just see purely what it looks like. Yeah, visually that's really hard to tell it's working. It's there, so I'm going to keep it. Good call. Take that back a bit. So one thing that is really nice is you can scatter grooms on grooms. So if I wanted to do like these tiny little like microscopic fibers coming off, I can do that. So let's just give that a go. Let's see how quickly I can crash my computer. I'm going to lower the density slightly. So let's just go into that braid. Let's go into Yeti Graph Editor. Grab this convert. Braid density, let's set you to 1. Okay, so definitely not 1. Let's go to like 6. Cool. And then all we're going to do is grab U, scatter, grow. Shit's fucked. Oh, what is the name of the normals of that curve? Orientations? I mean, I could randomize this, you wouldn't notice the difference. Oh, that's O. Okay, so that goes it straight up. The strands don't get a unique ID. Wait, this is gonna get so gross. I'm just curious because I don't know what works and what doesn't. So those will all have the same seed because it's ID in each one. So I'm gonna put ID plus 2, ID plus 1. Haha! Right. Oh god, this is so messy. I love it though. I completely love this. That can be plus 0, that's fine. Oh god, this is gonna be so bad. I love it. So 0.5 minus times 2. Oh, that won't work. So again, they all get the same seed. Oh. So close. How do I give it just a completely random... Oh wait, no, I'm doing this completely wrong. So get that. And then I can do this outside. So let's go 0.5 minus. Right, okay, we're getting somewhere. And then we need this to be multiplied by 2. No, we don't need that to be... Was it working already? I guess so. Alright, cool. Yeah, Yeti's pretty good with expressions. I am quite enjoying it. So, we got that guy now. We're going to need, obviously, this to be a lot shorter. Like, considerably shorter. Like, even shorter. We're going to need min length to be pretty low. Width is going to have to be fucking minuscule on this guy. Like, really tiny. Then I'm just going to throw a scraggle on this. And let's set that to a bit thicker. There we go. And then I'm just going to throw a frizz on this guy. That will do. And then merge. That is the wrong thing. Merge. Hey. Let's increase that scatter. This is so dumb. Oh, this is the dumbest fucking grooming I've ever done. Well, it's not actually, it is far from it, but it's pretty dumb. I need to play about with the diameter of this guy. I'm really curious as to why it's not crashed yet. and then that input curve. I'm genuinely impressed at how quick this is. Like, this is not easy stuff right now, and it's just doing it. Like, look at that. Like, holy fuck. I still haven't figured out who Creams is. I love, I've only just saw some of the comments. Balan, yeah, so you mentioned how it's great for grooming, easy to use, and less technical when compared to X-Gen. It can be less technical, but if you do this horrible shit, I guess it's just as technical, if not more so. So let's see how that renders. That is the wrong thing. So let's go into the render view. So color's way off. The question is now, as far as I'm aware, it can't pick up a shader group from this. Kill that. Oh, it can. Cool. So let's lock you in place, start a render, and tweak. Granted, the lighting is different, but we'll get there. What if I just color pick this? Let's go right. So that's a spec highlight. Let's give that a go though. That's darker. Oh, I'm in aces. So I can't color pick. Color picking is bad. So I have to match it visually. Let's try stepping down that saturation a little bit. Should the strays be thicker? I mean, I know they're like sub-pixel right now, but let's go for that braid. Braid gen, sorry. Lower the phase. Closer. Still too much of a zigzag pattern in the silhouette. I wish I could figure out how to get rid of that. It's like it needs to twist. Like the whole thing needs to twist. But I don't know if I can do that. Let's check the... Okay, so the NURB curve itself doesn't have Yeti controls. It has Arnold controls, but I don't care about those. I think that's good enough for me to start fixing the guides on the actual hair. The colour I think needs to be closer to... I can't tell if it needs to be closer to the hair or not. I think, yeah, picking the hair to be closer would make more sense, right? I don't like the fact I'm using a surface shader. But I also don't think I really have much choice. At least for this type of shader. So let's go closer to the hair color. Maybe not that bright. What is the IWA of rope? So we need to randomize the color per strand a little bit, don't we? Let's ignore that for a moment. Kill this render. think we need a bit more spec rough. I'm going to lower anisotropy a bit because that is insane. Subsurface would technically be good to add. Let's try changing that for a sec. I think I might be interpreting, might need some diffuse roughness instead. Diffuse roughness is basically a contrast slider. Like fundamentally that's all it is, it's a contrast slider. If you want more contrast you have less roughness. Like that. And if you want less contrast, you slide it all the way to the right and you have less contrast. It's obviously not a contrast slider, but that's fundamentally, like visually, that's what it is. Set that back to roughly what it was. I think that looks interesting. Let's increase the roughness a little bit. This is such a little pretty haircut. I'm really not keen on the braid look, to be honest. I feel like a twisted clump would be a lot more suitable. Let's kill that, and I'm gonna go into the Yeti graph editor, zoom all the way in. Hey Cozy, what's the plan for the inside of mask? No idea, mate. Not a single clue. If you got any ideas, throw them at me. I'm more than happy to take on people's ideas. I think that width is actually okay, so I don't want to be changing that. I think I just need more of them. And also high. Yeah, also high. So, yeah, we need to fix the guides. The feather coming through the mask is really bad. Yeah, we need to add volume to the guides behind the head. I think that will help the braid feel less weird as well. So I might do that now. Because we've been fucking around with this braid for a while. So let's go Arnold renderer. Give that a test now, it's got more strays. There we go, that's better. I feel like it needs a little bit more purple in it though. Well, that's difficult because it's not purple. Yeah, I'm focusing too much on stuff that doesn't matter. Okay, so I need to change the fur behind the head. So let's hide all the grooms. I need to arrange these actually in the let's put that there. Put that there. Cool. So let's hide both of these guys. You're not affected by the guide groom, so that's fine. I can just change this as I need to. Let's go into edit groom. Tool settings. Obey surface normal, that's fine. So we just need to do that sort of thing, really. We don't need to do it for the whole groom, but we do need to do it for this area. I'm not sure how far back we have to do this though. I'm also not sure how I'm going to blend it. That's going to be really difficult to blend. So let's add a guide. Right. Strands. Add one right there. Oh. Why are you not working? So you're working. I guess this is how I'm doing it then. I don't know why it won't let me add an individual one. Maybe the mesh is too low res, I don't know. I don't know how it works yet. I haven't figured that shit out. So let's grab you. And I'm going to have you crash forward. And rapidly bend to the side. So that would allow me to kind of build up the volume right there. Let's turn off a base surface normal because it's really annoying. Come on. There we go. And probably need more CVs for it to be controllable. Yeah, so we're getting an issue there, which is the hair is not having a fun time. This needs to be like 10 or something. Cool, close that, get you, pull you forward, resample to 10. I have no idea how well this will be working, if it works at all. Just do a few more guides. Just to see if it's visually doing what I need it to. I don't think it will be. I still don't know the meaning of the colors for your guides. That'd be good to find out, I think. Yeah, that just gets confused. We're gonna need so many guides in that area. So guess. Drop a groom. Grab you. And I'm just gonna pull these up a bit more violently. Oh, wrong thing. That one. Resample to 10. Cool. Scatter. And go back through one at a time. Grab you first. You're basically vertical here. Resample. So it's light under these guys because layering still needs to be held. Should fold back. Something like that. I also wonder if there's a way to set the these lights are giving me a massive headache. I'm wondering if there's a way to set the curve strength on the sculpt tool. As in, like, you know, you can make it so it doesn't affect roots and stuff like that. So this guy, what side does he go to? I guess something else is worth asking to myself. Is it worth this area bunching back on itself? Kind of pushing back? That would give me, like, this ref for the mask, that's what it's doing. It's like growing behind the mask and being pushed back, whereas mine's falling forward. Which for the pose makes more sense, but maybe this will artistically be easier to control. So just have it roll backwards and just have the hair kind of, whatever the opposite parting is, bunching. Let's resample that. I find the guides behave a lot more like XGen's guides when you resample them to a lower curve count. XGen's guides have the same issue. If you oversample them, if you have too many controller CVs, it looks pretty bad most of the time. And it's just Yeti's default is what looks bad. Lower CV counts are a lot easier to control. Like, a lot easier. I don't think it's even like a subjective thing. I think it's genuinely objective. It's less CVs, easier to sculpt. The brush becomes less sensitive as well. I think the brush effect is like per CV. So if you have lots more CVs, the brush effect is ultimately multiplied, which makes it a heavy thing to control. Because when you got more CVs and it becomes more sensitive, the brush is also doing more work, which is not a good combination. Yeah, massive headache looking at these guides. I think the colour for the guides is a bit intense. I wonder if there's a way to change that. Let's see how that looks. Probably weird. I think I do need to go with the leaning back thing, like a lion's mane. Let's check if this is working. I'll have to render it to know for sure. Yeah, I think we have to push back. Let's do a test render anyway, because we do have to consider that this is a low density version. Close you, open you, hit render. Yeah, I think we need to push back on it a little bit, so it flows more like a lion's mane. Although in a way that kind of works. It's too chaotic. It needs a lot more guide work, like in terms of like inside the mask. Like we still need to remove the density inside the mask. I kind of like it in some ways. I have a suspicion I know who Creams is, but I don't know. Yeah, what was I doing? Part of me likes this, part of me hates it. I don't know which side's winning. I think annoyingly more guides might still be the answer. Maybe the frontmost guides need to be pushed over the ones behind them, so it's kind of like bunching up and like flowing over itself. So let's give that a go. And then if that doesn't work, because there's something about this still flowing forward that I'm quite liking visually. It's just that the braid is getting completely fucking destroyed, and that needs to stay quite clean. Which I think the easiest way to do that is to roll. Yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna roll it backwards. I'm trying way too hard to do something that won't necessarily work anyway. I just need to make it not look like a surfer dude, which is gonna be difficult, I think. So let's do one guide at a time. Let's clear you, grab you, and let's figure out the flows. Because flowing it backwards does make it easier to get the middle. Like a lot easier. Something like that. So now, go through the next guide, grab you. So it kind of like bunches up on itself. This will be a lot easier to layer as well. Maybe this is definitely the right way to go. Well, maybe definitely. Grab you next. You can be where it starts. No, that's too soon. The next layer of guides is where it begins to transition. So I'm going to have to do some work on those, but I'm going to make this front area work first. So oh god, the flow in this area is a mess. So that would do that. Like an S. Yeah, I think that would work. So that means you need to be compensated for. So that needs to kind of push with, and it can part afterwards, but I think that works. This guide needs to change. We're gonna need more guides in front as well. We're gonna need a guide around here. See if we can add one now. Nope, still not allowing me to add one. Perfect. Well, I didn't know the... Oh, that makes sense actually. So when it's set to create a mesh vertices, it doesn't consider your minimum strand distance. If you have minimum strand, if you have this turned off, then it has to consider this, because otherwise they'll overlap. So when I was trying to add them earlier, it's because this was set too high. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so that's why I wasn't creating them. It's good to know that I actually wasn't creating them, because I was worried that it was creating them behind the scenes and I just wasn't seeing them. But apparently that's not what it was doing, so. Roll you back. Not like that though. Resample. Do we need to pull all these out? I think we do. So let's see how that side looks. It's got a weird center parting. Not keen on that. Outliner. So we'll render that. We'll ignore the hair that's passing through. Yeah, that might be the way to go. So we need to remove the hair that's inside there though. Or add guides inside there, but that's not the way it should go. Maybe having these still crash forward is actually what we want. So I need to paint a texture. I'm literally just going to need it as a one-off. So I'm not going to worry too much about pipeline. I'm just going to grab you, file, export selection, Where are you? Export selection. It's weird, after using Maya for years, I still don't know how to do this stuff. Chart monster. Folder mesh exports. Cool, and this is monster body geo. Cool. That's that done. So let's go into Mari. I wonder if my license has gone dead. Yep, there we go. Update license. Need to reinstall it. Why? Non-commercial, please. Okay. I have Substance. What else can I use? I could use ZBrush. Fuck it. ZBrush it is. So, import CG stuff, projects, personal projects, StickyMonsters, scenes, texturing, child monster, mesh exports. There we go. Perfect. Right, okay, so now, document, double. Cool. Range. Subdivide it a few times. Go back up to the max lowest subdivision. Import is it's got the same volume, although it looks like it doesn't change it anyway. Set U to basic material. EST. So that's set to white. Color fill object. Set to black. That's okay. You may need a sharper line here, just at the top, because that top's going to be so sensitive. Cool. And then let's just smooth the transition there. There we go. So, Z plugin, multi-map exporter, text from polypaint. 1K is fine. Create all maps. Folder, room, utility maps. And this one will be I'm not sure. Body density? Because it's not just fur body, it's feather body it's been used for. So I guess body density works best. Monster body density. Then TIFF is what it's going to export. I'm pretty sure this will be 8-bit. I hope it's 8-bit. So now if we go into Yeti, graph editor, I guess you first, that's fine. So I'm going to want to create a texture node. That can go to just you. I don't think I'll need it in these guys. This goes to attribute density, file, cool, and then we need to set this to -1, or 1 negative. There we go. Yeah, so we got a few that we need to pull back. But that helps a lot. Oh wait, no, that's just the feathers, I think. I think this is the clumps. Let's do the same thing in the feathers. So let's copy that, go into feather body, and I guess this has to go to both of them. So let's just put that there, put you there, put you there. Cool. So we'll probably have to adjust our density map in a second. Yeah, we do. Or it could be that we need more guides, because maybe the density map isn't making it past the guides. So, kill this. Do I want to pull the density map back, or do I want to add guides? I think I want to add guides. I think. Let me just save this render. Becca wants to see how it's going. Right, so can I just fucking decide? Why aren't I picking one? Complete mental block, and it's not even the messages I'm getting. My brain is just like, I don't know if you want to do density map or guides. I also find it weird that there is a hair spawning there. So I'm gonna assume that's a density map issue. Back into here then. Let's go standard, set you to complete black. I've not used ZBrush in a while, so I'm picking really weird. Pull that back just a little bit. In fact, where's the, because this is where the mask is, so I'm gonna pull that back a little bit. It would have been good for me to maybe have booleans the mask of this, so I can see like a sharp line where they pass each other. Although the mask doesn't actually intersect, so maybe that's a bad idea. In fact, yeah, it is a bad idea. Ignore what I just said. Cool. Let's try exporting that. Z plugin. That's horrific. Okay, so I'm going to save over that. And I'm going to go fix that file name, because holy fuck, I cannot be dealing with that. Group utility maps. Let's just go rename monster body then city. Cool. And then I'll need to update those nodes. So let's go into my. Surprised this isn't broken, but I guess it's just because it's not actually checked yet. Or maybe it's got it cached. That's also possible. Where's my Yeti editor? Come on. Please dock. Alright, it's not gonna dock. You. Yeah, of course. Okay, so projects, personal projects, StickyMonsters. It creates a Yeti folder? Oh, I didn't know that. Scenes, texturing, char monster, groom utility maps. Grab this boy. Cool. Grab you. So it seems to be ignoring it to some extent. So I might have to force it with some guides. Unless they're coming through from somewhere else. They are not. That's so weird. That's so weird. What can I do about that? It's literally just guides, right? Can't fucking avoid them. Okay, so let's go into these guys, hide those, go into the groom, edit groom, tool settings, close you. So I don't really have much option other than just going in and going like that and just slowly but surely fixing these guys. Let's try setting you to 2. That should paint the that should paint length. Cool, so that's actually alright. Let's just grab you like that. There we go. Resample, pull you back, do that. Ooh, wonder if Aces is color correcting the texture map. I don't think it would, because Yeti seems to have a different system. But that might be what's going on, like the black values are being lifted above black by like the remap. I really wish this would fuck off. There you go. Resample. Pull you back. You're fine. I need a guide in there. This is where some of them will be coming from. So let's just go and do this. So grab you and pull you back. And then what I'm going to do after this one is put a few guides inside this area, but completely flatten them out. So rather than do what these two are doing, like I'll reduce their length. Oh, that's cool. That's really nice. 1 second, guys. Just giving some there we go. So to add a guide, so I'm going to go into 4. I'm going to add you. 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 I'm basically just going to brute force these out. So I'm going to mute my speakers for a sec. Yeah, Becca's working on a really nice scene at the moment. She's done it so quickly, it actually scares me. Yeah, so I can't wait until Becca realizes how good she is. So let's paint all of these guys like 0.1 length. And I guess we can just straighten them out. So let's elevate them all the way up. So let's see if that works. There we go. Hacky fixes are my favorite fixes. I really love them. So, still not sure where my Yeti graph went. Still one really pesky fit. Oh, you fuck. Where are you coming from? I need another guide right there. So, edit groom, tool settings. So let's just put you there, and then I just need to put more. Put one there too. Put one there. So I'm just explaining something about lighting. If you give me one moment. 1 second, camera. There we go. So, let's update that again. Outliner. There we go. I know there's still some intersections. I'm not sure why. Oh, relax iterations. You bastard. Okay. So if I turn relax iterations down, because it's relaxing it in to this non-dense area. Oh, why did I click that? So I need to go to the feather, and then, is it a thick feather or a thin feather? I think that's a thin feather. Turn on obey density. Okay, maybe it's bugged out. Let's set that to 0 for a moment. So obviously all of the feathers now going to move, but yeah, there we go, they're gone. Why was obey density not working? That's concerning. So now's where I get to be really picky with myself and say I massively prefer it when the feathers are uniform. But I can get used to that. And I still need to do all the guide tweaks. Like, it's already fucking 20 to 11 and I need to do a bunch of guide tweaks. Oh god. Let me just check this. One sec. Do those. Pen M red. Save as. There we go. See if that helps. Right, so this just got a lot more dull, didn't it, silhouette-wise? I need some stuff here. So let's get the guides from this area and really fuck some shit up with them. So It's going to look bad from any angle that isn't directly there, but so be it if that's what it takes. Let's grab the Grim. So grab you. And then we'll move on to doing guides for the rest of the body. So I'm not really too keen on that angle. Try that. I need to move the mask. Well, that might work. Let's give that a go. That helps. Only had to be subtle. I really kind of want to add some relaxed iterations back into the feathers. So even if it pulls a few towards the mask, I'm okay with that. Feather body. Let's just add like 2 iterations to both of these. And I guess we would need to use a face set to stop it growing to where I don't want it to go. So let's go back into you. Does that look better, or is that my mind playing tricks on me? It's probably my mind playing tricks on me. Right, so let's get on with the guides around the rest of the body. I've got like 15 minutes before I want to end the stream. And then all is well. So what areas do I want to work on the most? Here primarily. Set to 0.3. So the reason this area looks really boring is because, oh, it's him. It's the fact they literally have to cross because of the angle. It's just a really poor angle. That isn't the size I wanted. Okay. I need to find a way I can make this area look interesting. Oh, wait, let me just cancel that. My constant go-to, pick a dominant side, part around it. Maybe even do that. Let's tilt you towards the direction the body's going. Will that help? So they are leaning forward, which doesn't make much sense. But most of this grim doesn't make much sense, to be honest. So cancel that. Turn on obey face normals. just so I can quickly mask these guys. Turn on, turn off face normals, resample, pull up, pick a side, let's go this way, because it's towards camera. Cool, I think that's working. Let's get everything visible. Let's start our end of stream render, because I think I'm done for the day. Yeah, so we made some pretty decent progress. Definitely getting there. It feels too thick. But visually there's not much I can do about that, because it's just the length of the hair. I mean, I can reduce the length of the hair, but then we'll get a different fur quality. So length of the hair does a lot for your clumping and all that jazz. Because this area feels too thick, because the actual tube ends like here, but then the hair just goes whoop. This feels a bit artificial, doesn't it? Yeah, this area looks weaker than it was. The mask just feels too clean. So I know it was intersecting before, but I am going to set this back to 6, because whatever it was doing was helping this feeling. So for now, I'll set it back to where it was, and then while I figure out what the fuck it's actually doing to help, that will kind of get an image that looks interesting. Although I think the guides are also part of the issue. Maybe it's worth having the guides flow over. Maybe having the main thing actually is a bad idea. I don't know, what do you guys think? There's 5 of you watching right now, so at least one of you can give an opinion. I'd love to hear what people think about this area, because to me it feels like it's way too much of a forehead. Obviously we could flatten the mask and that would help, but putting hair over it will feel too cheesy. Because the thing is, one of the reasons our ref works is because it's so flat. So I'm not sure what to do. This feels like the king of foreheads. I think if it ended about here, that would work a lot better. Mask looks artificial, like it's not handmade. But what do you think it is that's missing for that then? You think this needs more aggressive kind of chiseling like this guy? I guess it is quite soft in some areas, isn't it? Quite round. So maybe it needs the sharper angles that this has got. it's not necessarily about this stuff, it's about these soft rolls. I mean, that's easy enough to fix, it's just display something, right? Could be more flat. Yeah, this is probably more flat, wasn't it? Oh wait, the hair goes over. So if I want to match ref, I actually do need the hair to go over. I'm gonna flatten the mask still, but that might be what we need. Let's test that first. Well, let's test the flatness, because that I can just do it with Deformer. Yeah, it could be more flat. More like strong feature. Do you mean like strong feature? What specific kind of feature do you mean? Because one of the reasons it was round to begin with is because this guy looks super soft and round. I guess the mouth doesn't. So we could go in on another sculpt pass and fix that. I am going to flatten it slightly because I think I did go overboard in the roundness. So let's just grab... What would be the best way to do this? It's too soft. Alright, cool, yeah. So I guess in the next stream we'll do some sculpting passes on it. For now, let's just try doing it in the model. So obviously this isn't technically a nice way of doing it, but as long as I'm not destroying UVs, it doesn't matter. Will that help? I wonder how much I just destroyed my UVs. Modeling. Grab you. Set to face, soften edge. That might help. Zero shading groups. Delete the history. There we go. Need to calculate the whole scene. I'm not happy with these parallel lines here. They look really bad. Alright, I'll probably stay on, on this for another like half hour or so. Then that gives me half an hour to kick off a final render before midnight, so I can go to bed at a reasonable, semi-reasonable time. I need to update the full scene, don't I? Does that help, guys? That does help a lot, actually. Alright. Yeah. Thanks, guys. That helps a ton. Sharper chiseling will still help. But that somehow makes it feel flatter. How did that make it feel flatter? Like, was the roundness of the forehead coming from the roundness of the eye socket? Is that how that works? Is my voice going to be permanently like this? Yeah, no, you guys fucking nailed it. Nicely spotted, man. Thank you very much. That helps so much. I know I'm saying it over and over again. I'm not being sarcastic. This actually helps so much. I'd need to re-unfold the UVs and transfer the brow ridge. What, here? I mean, we can try it. Let's just try inserting a loop. Just as normal. That's not going to do much, is it? I feel like that placement works. So I'm going to undo that one. So it makes him feel like a Neanderthal mask. Could it be helpful to grab you? See, now I should be hiding the environment and the kid, but the kid is by far the heaviest thing to render. That helps. So it's not necessarily the brow ridge, but I think that does help a bit. It's having some kind of transition of form. Well, that makes you think maybe this should be pulled forward. So let's grab that curve. We're completely experimental at this point. In fact, I should save a version. F8. Let's grab all of this stuff at the front. That's not what I want. Why would that be what I want? F8. The speed of this is genuinely shocking to me. So I think that might help a fair bit. And then obviously the hair would have to be moved to compensate. Yeah, that helps. Getting Wookiee vibes. Yeah, I guess so. So now I need to figure out the guides for this front area, because I think the pushback was destined to fail. So let's kill that. Let's hide these two. Let's grab you. And edit groom, kill the outliner, show tool settings, profit. Yeah, thanks for all the help, guys. You guys pointed out some really nice stuff. I'm still not 100% sure on the placement of this guy, but it's easy enough to delete. It's just an edge loop. Let's just do that. Push you back forward. So, bring this over here just so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Well, maybe not there. Here is fine. So the hair needs to be a bit longer, doesn't it? Also, that's coming from over on the left, so this needs to part that way. Yeah, this is gonna be a mess. I can pull that through the mask, I don't care too much. Let's have it part like that. This is gonna look kind of mental, not gonna lie. Should the hair be longer for the top? Like the top of the body should be longer than the bottom. That's gonna give me some weird results on the feathers. Actually, no, it won't. That will fix some of the issues I'm having. Oh god, I'm gonna have to redo all the fucking guides on the top of this guy. I also don't have a consistent top, so this would need to be twisting a lot for that to work. Ugh. I can lengthen just particular guides, I guess. I normally like to do things in a quote-unquote physically correct way, so if it's long in the top, then I want it to be like a consistent, like, you know, the top along the whole model, but the way this guy's modeled, he doesn't have a consistent up and down, which makes it more difficult to do. It'd be nice if Yeti had a way to extend curves too, but as far as I'm aware it doesn't. It can only scale them. So like even if you change the length, it just scales the curve, it doesn't do anything like that, do anything fancy. Let's kill that, grab you. Go. Do it. So it won't look right, but it might look better. Better is what I'm always aiming for. I am a sales pitch, not a person. Kill that. Should you go that way as well? I think I may be overdoing this parting now. Exploring is the key thing that we're doing here. It's like we have no idea what we're doing. We're just figuring out what looks good and what doesn't look good. Yeah, because it feels too much like a surfer haircut, the thing I was worried about. And one of the things I was worried about. I've been worried about a lot of things during this grooming process. I'm slowly starting to hate the way the groom looks again as well. It is a curse. A complete curse. Yeah, so these straight lines are killing it for me. They need to do that. Like, these look awful. They're perfectly parallel. This curve needs pulling in as well. So if I grab you, solo you again because I have no hope of grabbing it. Grab these guys. And just go whoop. That's better. So where are those feathers coming from? I guess it's just these guys, aren't it? I need to make the top longer, at the very least at the front. Because it does... Does the fur get longer towards the head? This looks like it gets a lot more volume towards the head. He's drawn it in a way that's physically impossible to groom, in that it goes straight over. Like there's no visible parting line. So that's where the parallel lines are. This is where they're coming from. Well, so that neck crack I just did surprisingly painful, which is mildly concerning sentence to say. Tool settings. Drink some more water. So let's go through and grab you. Vary these up a bit. So we just need to stop them from being parallel lines, which means just not have them pull down constantly, or consistently even. So let's do that, I guess. Pull them together. I just realized something I can do to extend the curves. You can convert groom curves to NURBS, and then you can use the curve extend feature built into Maya and then import them back in. Because I'm not using curve attributes other than length, and length is easy to calculate, so it doesn't need anything special treatment wise there. Get you as well. Big boy brush, do that. Oh yeah, it'd help if I make my grooms visible, wouldn't it? I got really concerned that my grooms broke one. And I've realised this is an X-Gen, it doesn't break for no reason. Straight lines are still there. So I just need more guides, I don't think I really have an option about that. I think in the interest of sleeping tonight, I'm gonna leave it at this stage. So let's leave that going. I guess I can stay on for a couple of minutes. Do you guys have any questions or anything you want to talk about or ask, or shall I just head off? Yeah, there's too many straight lines. I think the noise that's on the feathers is too low frequency. Let's try this. Let's go into Graph Editor. Wait, does it support having multiple open? No, it doesn't. Alright, cool. Let's increase that a little bit. Let's go to like that. So 1.4, and do the same for you. And then I need to Graph Editor back open so I can actually get the merge of those two. It'd be nice if there's a way to set a render flag so that it always renders at a certain node rather than having just a visible node. I mean, rendering the visible node is really helpful, but thanks as always. Nice stream. Have a good evening. Yeah, you too, guys. I will be ending the stream in a minute. I'm literally just trying to figure out what the fuck I'm doing. There's no point sending a render where there's a 1 minute fix. That helps. Yeah, I think I need to increase the length at the head. Hold on a minute, am I doing something dumb? Would it be easier? So it goes to 0.8, let's say. Should this go to 1.2? And then we need to turn off maintain length for these guys, right? Actually, no, because they're already being grown before that. Will that help? Not really. It was worth a try. I actually need to do the same with the hair. Fuck's sake. So did I do it with this guy? I did. So Jesus. 5 then to 1.5. So that's going to introduce a lot of chaos. Not too keen on doing that. I feel a lot more solid now. I'll leave that to render, see how it goes. But yeah, I'm going to end the stream here, just because any fucking around at this point is going to be pretty much meaningless. And if I do anything that's worth showing, I'll mention it at the beginning of the next stream. But yeah, so going to stream here. It looks like it's buffering on my right screen. Something might be wrong with it. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it or learned something or whatever works for you. I'll be back on Saturday. Bye bye, guys.